Hey, what's up everyone? In today's video, I'll be going over a guide of really helpful tips that'll make Elden Ring easier and a lot more enjoyable. The first thing I want to cover is combat. What I found is that using Ultra Greatswords is most likely the easiest and most effective way of taking down enemies and bosses as well. You do a ton of damage with each swing, easily staggering most enemies and some bosses as well. They have really good range to help avoid taking damage, and poke to chip away at health. When you pair two of them together, you're just increasing the amount of damage you can dish out by a crazy amount. The most effective way of using these weapons are using jump attacks with the dual weapon art, or just using the dual weapon art combo to constantly keep enemies staggered while dishing out a ridiculous amount of damage. You can find the grafted Ultra Greatsword in the south side of the map at the resting place beside the Rampart Gowl, where you'll have to defeat a boss that's not too difficult in order for him to drop it. Another location for an Ultra Greatsword is by the Callum Ruins resting place on the west side of the map. From here, you'll see a wrecked carriage, and on the back of it is a chest that contains the Ultra Greatsword. If you're not interested in using those weapons, a good alternative would be spears and halberds. They don't do the same damage, but they attack much faster and still have really good range for poke. Keep in mind that when you are using these heavy weapons, or just anything in general with armor and weapons, is your equip load. You want this to always be at a maximum of medium, so you'll be able to do a fairly quick roll to dodge attacks. If it's anything higher, dodging attacks will feel impossible and it'll be a lot harder for you to move around. An easy way around this is to either remove pieces of armor, equip gear that weighs less, and also level up your endurance, which increases your stamina and the amount of weight you can have on, so you can roll fast while having heavier weapons and armor equipped. Another thing to add with combat is always keep ranged attacks in mind. Using magic or bows are a really good option in Elden Ring if you ever feel too nervous to get close to enemies because you're low on health. For bows, I would recommend the Pulley's crossbow, which is a 3-round burst crossbow. Having a quick reload time, fire rate, great damage because of it being able to shoot 3 bolts at once, and low stat requirements. This is a crossbow that everyone should just have. The 3-round burst crossbow can be found in the north side of the map at the Craftsman Shack. The last part about combat I want to mention is summoning. This is an extremely useful tool for whenever you're fighting bosses or large groups of enemies. The summonings don't really do a whole lot of damage, but that's okay. We just use them for their utility to make enemies focus their attacks on them instead of you, making it much easier for you to land clean hits with less of a chance of you getting hit or taking any damage at all. The best 2 summonings I found were Skeletal Militiamen, which are 2 skeletons with spears as weapons, and Stormhawk, which is just a big bird. These are the best 2. Mainly for their survivability, allowing them to distract enemies for a longer amount of time, because the skeletons can come back to life after being killed, and there's also 2 of them. With the bird, it's just really hard for enemies to take it down, because it's flying in the air and constantly moving around, avoiding being hit. You can find the skeleton summoning at the Summon Water Village, where you have to defeat a mini-boss to get it. He's not too hard to beat. I'd recommend fighting him on your horse, which you'll find to be much easier with taking him down. You mainly just need 1, and I would recommend focusing more on just grabbing the skeletons, which in my opinion are much better. Another really useful tip is to hunt down the golden seeds, which give you more uses with your crimson flasks. In the end result, making it easier to stay alive and allowing you to make more mistakes with less punishment. I'm not saying to go and grab every single one right away, but having around 7 uses out of your Crimson Tear Flask will be more than enough to get you through any area or dungeon until you reach the next resting place. I'm going to show just a couple of spots on screen where you can find golden seeds. You'll find these by almost golden glowing trees, and they should be right in front of them. Also, something to keep in mind is to just constantly spam the pickup button while riding on your horse to gather random resources from every area you pass through. They don't have any weight or limit to them, and you'll end up using them for crafting later on in the game, or can even be sold to merchants for some extra runes. Speaking of the merchants, I'm going to show a bunch of locations of where you can find them to check out all of the different things that they sell. You can also sell your runes to them and the blacksmith back at the Table of Lost Graves, instead of using them one at a time, which can feel really tedious at times. An additional tip to keep in mind is if you get stuck at a boss fight and can't beat it no matter what you do, you don't have to do that fight right there and then to progress through the game. The map is so big and there's so many different areas you haven't explored yet, which may hold better weapons, armor, runes, and just better loot in general. So explore other areas when you get stuck on a boss fight. After some time exploring and leveling up, it will feel much easier and gives you a better chance at success with all the new gear and levels you've gained. The last tip I want to mention are farming methods for runes. So far, I have found two really good ways of getting runes to level up your character. The first one is all the way up in the top right side of the map at a place called the Bestial Sanctum. From here, head down the hill and you'll find these smaller enemies that you'll need to kill. They can't take a lot of damage and are really easy to stagger, making them easy kills. Each enemy will drop about 1,000 runes, and there's quite a few of them on both sides of the hill. You can usually rack up around 15,000 runes every time you go down the hill to kill them all. If you use a golden pickled fowlfoot, this will just increase the amount you can earn from this by a lot. The second method is going to the resting place Lenny Rise. You start off by getting on your horse and running down the hill. At a certain point, a big Indiana Jones looking boulder will spawn and try to crush you. All you have to do is sidestep out of the way and let it roll down the hill. Every time it falls off the hill, you'll get close to 2,000 runes. Then simply teleport back to the resting place and repeat that process. You should be making around 10,000 runes every few minutes or so. That's everything for today's video. I'd like to give a big thanks to the members of my channel for supporting me on my videos and the future ones to come. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, drop a like and let me know what your favorite thing about Elden Ring is so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.